G'day guys, welcome to a new video. What we're deciding to do today is run through the awning, the standard awning, which is attached to, currently we're in the Jawa Stealth 16. There's an awful lot of conversation around awnings. What upgrade should I go for? Should I go for an upgrade? Should I get this brand, that brand, another brand, a 270, a 180, all of those sorts of things. We're now well into our second lap, and to be really honest, we've pretty much found the standard awnings on these vans really adequate. Now some of you have probably got a Jawa, some of you don't. The standard awning on this is basically like any hybrid that comes over. These ones aren't automatic. I kind of like the fact that it's not automatic because that's just another motor to break down. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to step you through how we set our awnings up, and as I said, is it really worth going to the expense when there's already an awning supplied on your van before you actually give it a try and actually work out whether you think that the standard awning is going to work for you? For us, I think the secret is making sure that you set them up properly, and it's not going to be foolproof because, let's face it, it's not a permanent structure. But as I said, we've been traveling now, how long? Maybe probably 18 months combined over 2 laps, and we still haven't lost an awning yet, and we've been up in some pretty hectic conditions. So a couple of things I want to show you before we get started. First of all, trusty drill. Trusty drill with the 13mm piece on it. The reason I say the trusty drill with a 13mm piece on it is I like to use these screw-in pegs. These ones are our second set of these pegs. We got the first one from Bunnings. We probably bent a few of them and they were getting a little bit blunt. So we've just upgraded them. I think they came from Anaconda, didn't? Yeah. Anaconda, hun, 30 bucks. So you get 15 pegs and you actually get another 13mm bit in the case, so can't go wrong. These work in most ground conditions, obviously not in sand, but we do carry a range of sand pegs and those sorts of things as well. Hot tip if you're coming to WA, extra long. This is an 8mm masonry bit. I think it's an 8mm. Yep, 8mm masonry bit. The reason you need an extra long masonry bit is check out this ground. She's as hard as a rock. So we have had several camps from basically when we hit Esperance all the way up to Exmouth now, where we've needed to drill pilot holes before we can get these pegs to get into the ground. So might need it, might not need it today, but we've used it an awful lot. The other things that we've got here is our navigator straps. We have talked about these in the past. These are about $60 from an ARB camping store. They are absolutely outstanding. The reason that they're outstanding is they're beautifully nice and thick, woven like a seat belt, and they don't stretch. And then you've also got the sail track connections here. So we run them into the actual sail track on the awning here, and it gives us a really nice secure connection that's going to hold that awning in. I'll show you how we actually use them in a sec. We also, on the same end, we'll utilise just a normal guy rope with a carabiner on one end and a spring on the other end, because we want that 4 points of contact. So each end, one navigator strap running down and one of these guy ropes running backwards, almost at a right angle, just to give us the right level of connection with the ground. And in the event of wind gusts, and what usually ruins these awnings are wind gusts that push them up and make the legs bounce, and then the legs maybe lose their knuckle and fall down, these are going to keep them nicely secured to the ground along with the ground pegs. So, Maeve, you ready? Yep. Let's get into it.
Alrighty.
I'll just quickly show you around our other equipment before I put it into use, just so you've got a bit of a view of what we're using. So, all of this is standard issue annex poles with the Jawa, and also the anti-flap kit that comes with the van when you buy it. So I've just got that all neatly laid out. It took me like 5 minutes to pull it all out of the tunnel boot just for ease of access for this particular video. All right, let's get into winding this awning out. So I usually bring it about about a metre out, and then I will get the legs out. So just unclick and then pull it out at this end. Move the anti-flaps out of the way. Extend the leg down a little bit, go up the other end and do the same. Don't really need to worry about your heights yet because you'll adjust it when you get it all the way out. Oops. I might just grab it for and the drill ready to go. Now we're setting up into the southerly at the moment. It's not really windy, but knowing that the winds in this region generally come from the south or the southwest, we are going to need to do a proper setup here just so we can leave the camp and have peace of mind. Alright, so as you're getting really close to the awning being fully extended, you're going to need to be looking up, and what you're looking for is the canvas at this point in time will remain pretty taut because it's still attached to the rollers here. As you get to the end of the run, it's going to sag quite a bit. So what you do is you get it to the point where it sags, and then you just do a little haft or a full wind back to actually make it taut again. So I'll show you what I mean by that. So it's sagged, back, nice and tight. That's a really good way just to get everything lined up and nice and tight. So what I'm now going to do is just position my legs before I start to pin everything into the ground. What I mean by positioning the legs, we've got to make sure that this support arm here is clear of the door, well and truly clear of the door, and then we've got to make sure that they're nice and square. They're not pointing outward like a bow-legged person like me, and make sure that they're not, you know, sort of leaning out towards the side of the van. So you just want them nice and square.
It's not square.
So I'm going to square it up to Mavo. I'll square it up to the van. Probably drop that down a tiny bit. Make sure the door's ready to open. Nice. And then that's ready to pin. We're going to square this one up. Get that nice and square. Now, the next thing you need to watch is make sure that we've got, knowing that the door opens from this end of the van, we're going to want that to be the high point of the awning. So we're actually going to drop this leg down. So then in the event if we do get any rain, we've got a little bit of an angle running down, so the rain's got a place to escape and it's not going to pull up as badly. So I'll drop that just a tad. How's that look, maybe?
Yeah, that looks good.
Okay, cool. We got just a little angle down.
Yep.
I'll recenter my leg, and we're now ready to pin our legs in.
Let's see if it's hard.
Yeah, let's see if I need my pilot hole. Better than I thought it'd be, to be honest. So we got that end pinned nicely, but unfortunately we've come up this end and she's a little bit harder. So what I've done here is I've just drilled a tiny little pilot there. Then I'm going to move the leg out of the way because I don't want this big chunky masonry bit getting caught. And some of the time when you're drilling down, you may actually hit a few rocks. So that is hard as a rock. So now we're going to put our anti-flaps into place, and you'll notice I've pulled it apart into 4 pieces. I'll show you how it all goes together in a second. So what we're going to do initially is just get the main bar connected in to the latch on the awning and then connected out to the fascia here. So you grab these 2 pieces, slide them into place, and your anti-flap's basically ready to go. we're then going to take this metal latch here, or tongue I guess you'd call it, and we're going to target it into this metal bracket up here. Come on the inside of the awning, and we're just going to sit that there, guide it in, make sure that that is in nice and secure, so not pulling away from the van at all. I'm going to move my little step over. Now you'll notice here, that I'm staying on the inside of the awning, and that's because you don't want to be sort of pushing that anti-flap kit out, because you're going to hit that plastic at the end of the awning when it comes back together and stays in the van when you're traveling, and you're not going to have a very nice trip home if that breaks. Pull this in, slide it over, and then it's going to connect over the little locking nut here, and your anti-flap kit is now nicely in place. I'm now going to just tighten up this middle slide lock here, and I'm going to lock it into place, and we are now nicely locked in there. And I'll slide that up there, just meaning that this can't pull out or move with the wind. So now we're going to actually grab the canvas of the awning, place this piece over the top, and then lock it into place so that it'll stop it from flapping. So pull my little stool out, get that nicely over there, slide it in, and then slide it up. Get a little bit of overhang here. The canvas is now locked in underneath that piece that I've just put on top. You tighten up these screws. And you've got that canvas nicely clamped into the anti-flap kit. Grab the next piece, move along, drop that on, sort of slide it to where you want it, tighten. Everything's all clamped up. Last one. And I always just go back, double check, and she's all locked in, no flap. So the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to install these standard awning poles, particularly because of the curved roof rafters. Now, we haven't got any rain forecast, and to be really honest, if I was looking at the weather forecast for the next week that we're going to be here, I probably wouldn't bother installing these, but if I saw a smatter of rain coming, then I would do this, because you do need, on this 5 meter long run, you need a few rigid points to stop the water from pooling. So I'll show you how to do this really, really quickly. This spigot pole goes into here, lock that down to the ground. You then grab your curved rafter. What I do with the curved rafter is, the reason I put the spigot pole in first is you just want to be able to throw this little spigot hook over there, then extend this out to the fascia of the awning, get it nice and firm, hold it with my thumb, just lock that in place, and Bob's your uncle. Your curved rafters are done. I'll throw the other one in up the other end. Awning setup's all done. So now that we've got all of our poles and our anti-flap kit in place, we're going to do the final touches, which is putting our ropes on our awning, or our straps on our awning. Now, hot tip with the navigator straps, make sure you've got the navigator riding facing the outside. You're then going to grab your sail track attachment, chuck it in the sail track, and then I just slide it straight to where the cross brace comes off the van that holds your awning up. That's going to be your strongest point, and it means that when you put some pressure on here, there's less chance of you bowing the fascia and that sort of thing. What we're then going to do is grab our other part of the strap. We're going to run it to the ground, And we're just going to peg it off about 1.5 feet out from the fascia of the awning. So now we're going to get this navigator strap into position. I've drilled a bit of a pilot hole because it's bloody hard up this end. So I'll get this peg in. That's not coming out in a hurry. Pull that out. Just need to loosen it off a tiny bit. Get her into position, pull it up, and pull it down, lock it in, nice and taut but not too tight. And we're going to run another one back down to the ground here. Tighten this up, down to the ground, tad bit more tension, locked in. And I'm going to get another pole, another strap off the awning here. Not coming out in a hurry. Flip it up. Out to your peg. Pull it nice and tight. And you're all secured. 1, 2, 3, 4. Job's done. So there you have it, guys, about 10 minutes work and probably a little bit less when you're fiddling around trying to film everything. So it takes a little bit of time to get the awning set up really, really well. Just remember, pin your feet so there's no bounce. Run ropes either side, whack your anti-flaps in, whack your roof rafters in, and you're set up to basically absorb most weather that's going to come your way. Now, disclaimer. It's not a permanent structure, so it's not going to stand through a cyclone. Common sense will tell you that if you see the wind start to whip up or you're looking at the weather forecast, pull it in. But in all seriousness, guys, this standard awning, 5 meters long, 2.5 meters wide, just for the two of us or even for a family, you've got so much space under here. So we've used 180 awnings, we've used 270 awnings. They do change the footprint of your van and you need to be careful of that. I'd probably spend my money putting a good awning on your car because you can utilize that when you're at camp, but also when you go away for the day and park up on the beach like we did yesterday. Keep your standard awning and just see how it goes, guys. Like, we find them more than adequate.